History is not only what is remembered, it is also what is archived and left unexplored. In these records are events without memorials, names without graves, and truths without witnesses. This channel exists to document them. Welcome to the Unspoken Archives. When the killing ended in German Southwest Africa, the violence did not truly stop. It changed form. By 1908, the majority of the Herero and Namaqua populations had been eliminated. Those who remained were no longer treated as a people. They were treated as labor. Survivors of the extermination campaign were registered, numbered, and assigned to forced work. Movement was restricted. Family structures were broken apart. Traditional leadership systems were dismantled. The goal was no longer immediate death. It was permanent control. German colonial authorities formalized forced labor policies. Survivors were used to build railways, ports, and infrastructure that supported the colonial economy. Working conditions were lethal. Malnutrition, disease, and exhaustion were common. Death rates remained high, even after the official end of the genocide. This phase was documented. It was administrative. At the same time, German scientists and institutions became involved. Human remains taken during the genocide were shipped to universities and research centers in Europe. Skulls and bones were cataloged. Measurements were taken. The purpose was racial classification. The objective was to provide scientific justification for colonial domination. These studies were published. They circulated freely in academic circles. They were considered legitimate science at the time. After Germany lost its colonies following World War I, attention shifted elsewhere. Colonial crimes were not prosecuted. No tribunals were convened. The genocide in Southwest Africa was excluded from war crimes discussions. Instead, Germany rebranded itself as a defeated nation. The victims of colonial violence were not included in post-war moral reckoning. Inside Germany, the colonial period was reframed. School curricula emphasized exploration, trade, and development. Violence was minimized or omitted. Extermination orders were reduced to footnotes. The narrative focused forward. The archive remained closed. Decades later, the same nation would confront genocide again, this time within Europe. The Holocaust became central to global historical memory, and rightly so. But earlier crimes were treated as unrelated, disconnected, as if methods, ideology, and administrative systems had no precedent. Only in the late 20th and early 21st centuries did renewed pressure force acknowledgement. Historians, activists, and descendants of victims demanded recognition. Germany eventually issued a formal statement acknowledging the genocide. Words were used carefully. Legal responsibility was avoided. Reparations were framed as development aid, not compensation. Even today, debates continue over language, over responsibility, over accountability. The question is no longer whether the genocide occurred. That is established. The question is why recognition required more than 100 years. Historical silence does not happen naturally. It is produced through education systems, through selective memory, through decisions about what deserves to be named. The genocide in German Southwest Africa was not erased. It was filed away, labeled, and deprioritized. The archive does not speak loudly. It waits. If this record was unfamiliar to you, then it has already done its work. This channel exists to document what history chose not to emphasize. This is the Unspoken Archives.